Okay, so we measured some perhaps very small input differences that nonetheless make it seem that the input looks pretty similarly across SES. But does this part of the input that we measure act differently? That is, are any differences, even if they're pretty small, are they meaningful developmentally? They might be, right? Because small differences in the input distribution might snowball into learning outcome differences if they're the right pieces that differ, right? So, if we look overall, though, at the WH dependencies, we can see that there are small differences, for example, in the top two WH dependencies in low-SES input. Our matrix clause object is about 76.7% versus 75.5%, still about 3/4 in high SES. And our matrix subject, like what happened, is like 10.3% in low SES and 12.8% in high SES. Again, similar, but still a little different, right? There's small differences. If we look at the syntactic diagrams, our top three kind of mirror this. So, 38 to 41% are the ones that make up our matrix clause object, our start IPVP and IPVP end. Is again also 40 to 41% in the high SES, but again slightly different percentages. The one that makes up our matrix clause subject, start IP end, again slightly different amounts, right? Slightly different percentages, even though again these are the top three in each case. There are small differences. Do they matter? Right? Let's use developmental computational modeling to find out. So what we're going to do is get judgments from a modeled child learning from the same amount of data as low SES children seem to learn from, with those data having the same composition as low SES child-directed speech data on the basis of our sample. And again, we're going to be plotting our generated judgments on this kind of interaction plot where we look at the length of dependency, matrix versus embedded. We look at the absence, non-island, or presence of an island structure in the utterance, and we're going to be looking for superadditivity, right, as the sign of syntactic islands knowledge. That is the additional unacceptability that arises above and beyond the fact that you have an island structure in the utterance, above and beyond the fact that you have an embedded dependency. It's extra bad. That shows up as non-parallel lines. That's the pattern we're looking for to say, you have the knowledge, this is the developmental outcome you want. And that's what we find. In fact, if you look for all four island types, complex MP, subject, whether, and adjunct, look at that, superadditivity all over the place, right? So this suggests then that low SES input is predicted to support the same learning outcome knowledge of these four syntactic islands, whatever that knowledge is, right? It allows the children, the model children in this case, to have the same predicted judgments as adults do who have syntactic islands knowledge.